Welcome. Today, we're going to walk through a really practical, science-backed tool called the Bright Spots Journal. You can think of it as a simple 7-day practice, and it's designed specifically for leaders who want to build resilience. But even more than that, it's about cultivating discernment, that crucial skill of seeing things clearly so you can make truly wise judgments. Let's dive in.
So the whole idea behind this is actually pretty simple. I want you to think of your attention like a flashlight. For just 1 week, this practice asks you to deliberately swing that beam of light onto what's working, onto the good. And a ton of research shows that when you do that, the whole room starts to look different. This is how we start making that fundamental shift from just living on autopilot to really leading with a sense of alignment.
So what is it that makes this more than just a nice, feel-good idea? Well, let's look at the science behind it. We're going to explore 4 key pillars that really give this practice its power, and you'll see how it transforms from a simple exercise into a genuine tool for building what we call your internal authority.
Okay, first out, we have attention training. The original study on this, often called the 3 good things exercise, found that just writing down 3 positives every day for only 1 week had these lasting positive effects on happiness. But here's the key. You're not just making a list, you're actually converting these little passing moments into a tangible evidence bank of your own capability. This is discernment in action, right? You're training your attention to see the resources you already have, instead of always focusing on what's missing.
Next is the broaden and build theory, and this is absolutely crucial for leadership. Researcher Barbara Fredrickson discovered that experiencing positive emotions, even small ones, literally widens our field of perception. It's like our brain's aperture opens up. We start to see more options, we spot more creative solutions, and over time this practice builds our capacity to respond with wisdom, moving us away from that tight, constricted reactivity and toward a more open, resourceful sense of responsibility.
The third pillar is something we can call the social glue loop. It's fascinating. Across dozens of studies, the simple act of noticing and feeling gratitude is directly linked to stronger social connections. And this isn't some abstract concept. It's a really simple reinforcing loop. When you deliberately notice the support you get from others, you become more likely to offer support back. This strengthens the very network that's going to hold you steady when things get tough.
And our final pillar is the body-mind boost. Because the benefits of this practice aren't just in your head. Early studies showed that when people swapped making a list of their daily hassles for a gratitude list, they actually started sleeping better and had fewer physical aches and pains. A present, grounded leader is an embodied one, and this practice directly supports that state by helping to calm our entire physiology.
Okay, so the science is pretty compelling, but how do we actually put it into practice? That's where the Bright Spots Journal comes in. It gives us a structured, actionable way to do just that. Let's walk through the 7-day practice and see how these principles start to build on one another. Day 1 starts with a focus on your own agency, your own effectiveness. The prompt is simply to spot small wins. So you'll list 3 small things you accomplished today that made you feel capable. And notice, this isn't about some grand achievement. It's about training your attention on your own effectiveness in the small moments that really make up your day.
And these examples really show you how simple this can be. Sending that one email you've been procrastinating on, finally fixing that loose handle on the kitchen cabinet, or just honoring a boundary by logging off on time. Each one is a little piece of evidence. Each one affirms, hey, I am capable. I can follow through. This is how you lay the foundation for that internal evidence bank.
Then, on the 2nd day, that flashlight of your attention pivots outward. The prompt shifts your focus to recognizing the network of support that's already all around you. You're asked to note 3 positive interactions you had and think about why they mattered.
And just notice the scale of these interactions. It can be something pretty significant, like a colleague saving you a ton of stress. But it can also be a simple moment of connection, like a funny text from a friend. Or, it can be the quiet dignity of just being seen and remembered by someone. The truth is, we're often way more supported than we realize, and this practice just trains our brains to actually see it.
As the week goes on, the prompts invite you to go a little deeper, building on those foundations of agency and connection. For example, by day 6, you're asked to look at a challenge you handled well. So this isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about noticing your own resourcefulness and choosing responsibility over reactivity when things inevitably get tough.
These examples are so powerful because they highlight specific strategies. Staying calm by consciously using your breath, protecting your energy by setting a clear boundary, persisting to solve a tricky problem. See, by writing these things down, you are actively mapping out your own resilience toolkit. You're reinforcing the very strategies you're going to need next time.
So what's the cumulative effect of this little 7-day sprint? Well, the real goal here is to build a durable internal resource, that evidence bank we've been talking about, one that you can draw on long after the week is over. This directly supports what we call presence-driven leadership, which is all about leading from a place of clarity and alignment, not just from a place of reaction.
Let's just summarize how this practice really supports you long-term. First, it just lifts your everyday mood. Your whole baseline kind of shifts upward, so setbacks just land on softer ground. Second, it builds that personal evidence bank, which is the absolute bedrock of internal authority. Third, it creates momentum you can actually feel, making it easier to stick with other positive habits. And finally, it actively shortens your recovery time from stress, because your brain now has this well-worn path it can take right back to a state of resourcefulness.
You know, this is not a new idea, not at all. Over 2,000 years ago, the Roman statesman Cicero recognized this same profound truth. Gratitude isn't just some pleasant feeling, it's a foundational practice. It's the soil from which other capacities like courage, temperance, and wisdom can actually grow. It creates what we like to call the space for becoming.
So let's end with a simple, direct invitation, because really the best way to understand this practice is just to begin. I'd invite you to take a quiet moment right now and just consider this question. What is one bright spot you can notice today?